Today is the primary election in Wisconsin, and the general election in November is 84 days away. So as that gets closer, how can we all use social media responsibly and in a way that's healthy for us mentally? I'm joined by communications and digital strategist Rashonda Pratt today. Thank you so much for being here.
Looking forward to this conversation. Thank you for having me.
So to start off with, what are some of the social media do's and don'ts that people should remember during election season?
Yeah, I think a lot of times we get so caught up in wanting to share our opinions, our thoughts, and our ideas. And there's just some couple of things that we really need to remember. Number one, I'll start with a couple of don'ts. Number one, everything you post is public, okay? So even if you have your settings on private, your posts can still be shared and made public by others through screenshots. So even if you're in a private chat or on a text message, someone can still take a screenshot of what you said, and screenshots last forever, my friend. Another thing you want to make sure that you're doing is fact checking everything. Misinformation can spread rapidly during elections. So make sure you're using fact checking tools like WKOW.com to verify information before sharing and making sure those websites are credible. I actually saw a site that was posing as a news organization and they were using a Gmail account. Also, platforms make a lot of changes to their policies and they introduce new restrictions to curb misinformation. So make sure you're staying ahead of those changes so that way your content or post isn't rejected. And here's another thing. We want you to engage, but engage in a civil manner. Remember that heated debates can really damage relationships and your online reputation. Sometimes it's just not worth it. So sometimes it's best just to take a step back, take a deep breath, and really decide, is it worth me even posting this? Is it worth me even responding?
Definitely some great reminders there for people. For some people, seeing political posts on social media can give them some anxiety, can build up some negative emotions. Is their only option to just get off social media for the next few months?
So there are a couple of options. So yes, exposure to political content can be linked to anger and even anxiety. One of the things that I suggest everyone does, and I think people don't really know that they can do this, is curate your social media feed. You can mute people for 30 days, you can unfollow people, and you can even block certain accounts. But if you're still feeling a significant level of anxiety, I say take a break from social media for a few months, and that can be a very valid strategy so that way you can preserve your mental health.
You talked about this a little bit earlier in the interview, how everything you post online, you should assume it's public. How can making a political post online affect someone's job?
Yeah, it is possible to lose your job from making political posts, but that really largely depends on the type of employment that you have and the laws in your jurisdiction. Here's the thing. If your boss is following you, your fellow colleagues, you probably want to be mindful of what you share. For some people, this is why they create a second account that's really more private, and they're very intentional about the people who engage on that particular account. But you need to be mindful of what you're posting and how that lines up with the job that you have.
Rashonda, what would your final takeaway do you want people to have about how they should, effectively use social media during a time when there can be a lot of really high emotions in our country?
I think one of the things that we have to take a step back is everybody wants to share their opinion, and that's the liberty that we have, right? We have to be mindful of I can share my opinion and I can win an argument and lose a person. And I think we would all agree that no argument is worth losing a relationship over. So think about that before you post.
Some really great reminders here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.